Thank you, sir. What's good, man? What's good? That was so fake. That was so fake. What's good, man? That was so fake. All right, man. Look, man. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Drake losing his female fan base. And I knew this was going to happen. Before we get into this, I got to get my legendary spiel. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know to find the ones that just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, link is in the description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. Or 1,300 subscribers to over 13,000, 14,000, 15,000, 16,000. And yes, I am the King of the North. Let me know what king you from March 23rd. There will be a battle rap event on this page. Make sure you click the video. It will be live for the first live ever on this page. All right, so let's get it, man. Let's go. All right, man. So let's get it, man. You already know what it is. I love this girl, Paige. Absolutely love her, Paige.
I have officially outgrown Drake. Yes, it's time for us, I think, to break up. His new album has done absolutely nothing for me. And I think its success says something very important about hip hop and the current hip hop fans. Let's get into it. So a lot of people have been asking me, why haven't you done a video on the new Drake record, Sexy Songs for You, or whatever it's called? It's the record he has with Party Next.
Yo, she just has such a passive nature. It's so crazy. If you watch any of her content, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Or whatever it's called. Oh, man, this is great. Let's keep it going.
It dropped very recently, and it debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts. I'm going to unpack that in a little bit. So I did a newsletter about it, which I'll link down below.
I wonder if that behind her is actually a real setting or if it's AI generated. I think it's AI generated. She's a beautiful woman, though. I ain't gonna lie. She's very nice looking.
About just feeling like I outgrew Drake. So I thought I'd share some of that on this channel. So several years ago, there was a piece in The Fader by writer Megan Garvey, and she talked about, despite being a huge Drake stan, she actually had a Drake tattoo at one point. Like, that's a real Drake stan. She just felt like his music no longer spoke to her. And I remember when that article came out, she was just dragged on social media. I mean, the fans weren't as bad as they are now. Now it's like a different level, just kind of what's going on in social media. But people were just so quick to come for her. Now, fast forward to 2025, and I have to agree, I am also breaking up with Drake. I
understand exactly I don't understand exactly what these women saying, how they feeling, because they're women and I'm totally different. I'm a man. I understand the whole ideology of breaking up with an artist that's been how you felt for them for a long time. All right, I'll put it to you like this. I was a huge Alicia Keys fan. Huge. I broke up with her. You know what I'm saying? Not to say her music isn't good anymore, but it just didn't do anything for me anymore. You know what I'm saying? After I believe it was I Am album, or the album after that, I just didn't really feel her music like that no more. Not to say that she doesn't make good music, because she still does. And she's definitely 100% a legend. Like, there's no way around that. She probably the best female of this generation, if you ask me. But I just feel, I understand exactly what she's saying about some of these artists. They don't grow as artists. And I think Alicia Keys, to me, she didn't transcend enough for me. I mean, some people may say she did. I just don't think she did.
Feel as an artist, he has not grown. I see no evolution, no maturing. And although we're kind of in the same age group, I feel like I have nothing in common with him. Now, let's go back to sort of the beginning of Drake. For a lot of us, outside of the Degrassi fans, we remember him musically when he started dropping mixtapes. Comeback Season, Room for Improvement. But what really was, I think, palpable in the music industry, and I remember because I was in the industry starting out at that time, was when So Far Gone came out. And so many people, especially older OGs and hip hop heads, they would just swear up and down like, this kid doesn't have it. There's no way that he is hip hop. He sings and not particularly well. He's emo. He's from Canada. He was a child star. Like, all of these things were sort of minus marks against Drake. But he
And I think that to me, that was a recipe for perfection when it comes to going against the narrative. Everything that these old heads said about Drake, everything, everything they said is absolutely true. But you have to understand, sometimes you feel like you're living in an upside down world because when you say something that's true, usually people look at it and they don't care how true it is. We could talk about Drake all day about how much he lies, and people will still believe him. Because I look at it that whenever you present something as something that people should not like, people are going to like it 100%. They're going to run for it. Like your parents telling you not to do something and you go do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't care. I think that's how people felt about Drake.
did sign to Young Money, and that was a huge cosign for him. The Lil Wayne cosign, the Baby cosign, and he also had the cosign from Jay Prince at Rap A Lot. So with that and the blog era, that was the perfect time for an artist like Drake. So Far Gone came out, and I think if memory serves, I think it was also on Valentine's Day, which is the same day that the new project dropped. And it really changed the game. All of a sudden, the sonics of hip hop were moving. Aesthetically, it was no longer you had to look a certain way or be from a certain region. The sounds were getting much more pan regional, even international. And when you heard So Far Gone, I think it really resonated with a lot of millennials. And
She's speaking 100% facts. That's a fact. When he first came, the game got changed because of the way he carried himself. Drake don't carry himself the way he did when he first came out. He's totally different now. I actually like Drake much better when he first came out because there was really like he was one of those people that I ain't gonna say you had to respect, but it was more like you accepted him being who he was because he was a cornball, but he was good at what he did. He was a good rapper. It's like, how does this dude so good at he's corny? You know what I mean? But I think that and he also was trying to be a playboy at the same time. So I understand exactly what she's saying about that point.
we were about the same age as Drake. We're all kind of having a quarter life crisis. We're going through breakups and being emo and, wondering is anything I'm doing brand new? Like, all of these things very much felt in line with what we were going through. And I think what Drake did really well, outside of like the hits and finding people in sort of emerging markets and scenes and jumping on their records, but outside of that, I think one of his superpowers in the beginning was really being vulnerable and reflecting what a lot of people around his age were going through. But as time went,
That's a fact. She's speaking facts. That is 100% facts. Him being vulnerable was his biggest superpower because rappers were hard. They did not want to ever display any type of vulnerability at all. You know what I'm saying? Especially the era he was in. And he kind of like, you know, he kind of pushed his way into it. You know what I'm saying? Not even necessarily pushed his way into it, but like, yeah, like, look at me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm cool. Because a lot of millennials and a lot of people at the time, they felt like Drake. They felt like Drake. You know what I'm saying? They felt that because that's the inner, I don't want to say it like that, but the inner bitch in them, was the inner bitching, not bitch, the inner bitching in them was now on full display and people can actually say what they feel now. You know what I'm saying? Without people looking at them all crazy. I don't even mean to say bitching, but the inner what's the word I'm looking for? The inner punk or I'll come up with a word.
And on, it felt like he stagnated. So everyone grew up getting therapy, those kind of important things. And it just feels like Drake never bothered to do that. So he's still doing records on this new project. I think he's almost 40 years old, talking about, girls doing him wrong, some girl who lives at home with her mother. Like, how old is this woman, Drake, that lives at home with her mom that you're dealing with? And it just feels like thematically, sonically, there's nothing new and interesting. And if we're
That's exactly what I was saying before. Like the ideology that Drake has for him being almost 40 years old and he's still dealing with, or even you still talking about certain things. And then you said in one of your songs, the we don't want girls twerking with a dictionary or something like that. And it's like, so you don't like smart women? I just don't understand it. I don't understand. I think Drake is he wants to live a life of being who he is forever. He don't ever want to grow up, because growing up means you're old. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he don't want to be old.
to believe by the Drake stand's assertion that he is the best, he's the GOAT, why is it the same thing recycled over and over again? Then there's the Kendrick issue. In the past year, the Drake and Kendrick beef and how that beef played out, but also Drake's subsequent actions, the trolling on social media, suing Lucian Grange and Universal Music Group, Spotify and iHeart. To me, it really showed Drake's true colors. And the fact that even though he said he's this great student of the game and he loves rap, when it comes to the biggest rap battle of his life, he was a very sore loser. And it seems that he also
That's 100% facts. He didn't know how to take being who he was, and she's speaking facts right now. That's 100% facts. He was a sore loser. He was more than a sore loser, in my opinion. Much more than a sore loser. If you take somebody to court over a diss track, you borderline should never be able to rap again, in my opinion. He should never be able to rap again, ever. And I'm telling y'all now, that's what's affecting his sales. Is that, believe it or not.
didn't learn anything from the battle. Take away, sort of like the big headlines and Not Like Us and the jokes and things like that. What fans had been saying, what critics had been saying, even people like myself. Drake, take some time, go on a sabbatical, go on a vacation, come back energized, give us something new that's inspired, that maybe reflects what you're going through after this battle. This is something that's so important in your discography. Are you telling me it didn't affect you at all? And to me, this new project and also Drake kind of running off to Australia and doing shows there, it just shows that he hasn't learned anything. He's still trolling, he's still putting out mediocre music, and it's just like the fuckboy soundtrack. The problem is
I think what a lot of people are missing is that Drake, and I hate to say this, when Drake early in his career, he was a pretty good artist. After a certain period of time, he hasn't been a good artist. We just put up with it because we were so used to him doing great verses and great songs. But if you strip him all the way down, Drake is really not a good artist. He's really not. And I have the proof for that. It's not that I'm just saying that. And don't think that I'm saying that like, oh, this guy is saying Drake wasn't a good artist. Listen, I know my shit. I know. Trust me. If you strip it down to its core, he talks about the same stuff on every album. From all the way from his first album all the way up to his last album, he hasn't grown as an artist. His first 3 albums were great. 4 albums were great, right? But after that, he has hit a plateau, which means he's going to keep talking about the same thing. How can you tell me that somebody's a great artist if they constantly they talk about the same things all the time? All the time. And nothing different. I ain't talking about different type of songs or whatever. Everything he raps about and everything he sings about is the same subject matter. money, hoes, cars, clothes, whatever. That's it. That's all he does. And when he raps, he's actually good. But the problem is when he raps, he don't really have any raps where they're really good songs. Like they're good raps and they're good disses, but I'm talking like really, really good songs, unless there's a feature connected to it. Aston Martin Music is probably one of my favorite Drake's verses ever of all time. You know what I'm saying? I think that's his best work. And that's what Rick Ross. Anything he does with a feature is different versus him doing it by himself. When he does stuff by himself, it's really not as good as a lot of people make it out to be, in my opinion.
The fuck boys from like '09, I would hope, not all of them, but I would hope most of us grew up, most people got therapy, and they're just on to other things. And it just feels like Drake, his music, his image, it's just stagnant. Now, I know a lot of people are going to come in the comments and say, yeah, you can say all of this, but he has the #1 album. You are absolutely right. He debuted at the top of the Billboard.
But there's a reason for that, and I'm sure she's going to explain that. And look where it's at now.
200. Most of those records are probably charted on the singles chart as well. But to me, sales does not mean quality. And I've always said a metric of sales, first week sales, that's something for the industry to discuss. The minute fans got involved with caring about what's going on Billboard or of that stuff is relevant to you, your fave should be your fave. Some of my favorite artists and favorite records did not do great commercially. Illmatic was not a commercial hit out the gate. Reasonable Doubt was actually Jay's lowest selling album at one point. And that doesn't matter. The whole point is, as a music fan, you should be judging music on the fact that you like it and not sort of, using these metrics, which, by the way, can be gamed because by Drake's own lawsuit against Universal Music Group, if they were pumping up the streams to Not Like Us, what's to say that bots and paid things weren't happening for his album, right? Like, I'm just saying, you can't.
That's 100% facts. She's speaking so much facts right now. That's a fact. Like a lot of y'all, and I said this on a couple of streams, I said this on a couple of videos, a lot of y'all are obsessed with numbers. And that's all y'all care about. Y'all don't care about the quality of the music. This is the reason why Drake is losing. Because people are starting to catch up. People's ears are starting to catch on now. He can't just sneak stuff by anymore.
Sort of throw the stone and live in a glass house. But I think that's the problem too, is we're just in this era where hip hop fans, I just feel like the new fans, they don't sort of come from like the cloth and the DNA and wanting to know the history. I came up as a fan in the 90s, and then I worked starting in the industry in the 2000s. But even though I came up in the 90s, I had to know who were the people who came before. Listening to artists from the 80s or even the early to mid 90s when I was too young to actually listen to the records. It's your job as a fan to go back into the catalog, into the history. And I just feel so many Drake fans, they're not real hip hop heads. Like the way they acted during the battle, it is very clear you don't know the rules of warfare, you don't understand a battle, and you're just a different kind of an individual. And, that might just be a sign of the times. It could be the fact that hip hop just became such a commercial behemoth and a global one at that a lot of people who claim they love hip hop are not actual heads. They don't care about rap. They don't care about lyrics. They don't care about sort of being crate diggers. All they care about is sort of what's on the radio, what's on TikTok, and what these sales look like. So
that's true. That's true. And I said this in the other video. That's all people care about. They want to brag. They don't want to actually display bars and music. I think a lot of these people nowadays, they want to be able to brag in an argument. They don't want to be able to say, yo, this album is better because, yo, did you hear this bar? Did you hear this song? Some of them don't even know the names of the songs. They just know the popular songs and that's it. They just keep it moving. They don't even care. It's crazy.
I also think this album, to me, it marks a shift of who the hip hop fans are. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've like been busy working on a bunch of other things, just kind of in the creative trenches. I don't know what other critics are saying. Are people loving this record? Are they forced to love it because they see the commercial success? Or are they kind of brave enough to say, look, just because this is a commercial success doesn't mean it's good. Just because Drake is a commercial artist doesn't mean he's good. And also, just because you were a Drake fan from, 15, 16 years ago, you're allowed to move on. You're allowed to grow up. Now, if I meet a person and I ask them their top 5, and if Drake is on it, I don't know. To me, I just don't see that we're probably going to have similar taste. We probably won't have much in common. I'm probably older than you, but it just to me says a lot, like where this paradigm is shifting of the new sort of hip hop fans. And, to me, maybe you can call me an old head, you can say that I'm old school, but I also think it's important for the old heads and the OGs to speak out and say, just because something is commercial and that's what the internet says or the algorithm or the streams doesn't mean it's good. And we are.
Do I have to say I've been telling y'all this? Do I have to say that? I've been saying this.
Also allowed to be gatekeepers and be those tastemakers. That's literally our job. And if you're too sort of scared to say that, I feel that you're bad at your job. But yeah, so I think that's kind of my thoughts on the new Drake project. Some sexy songs for you. I hate that title, by the way. I hate the title, the stylized dollar. I mean, all of it. It's all bad. But I would love to know your thoughts, especially if you are a day one fan and you are a grown millennial or even just a very mature Gen Z person. I would love to know your thoughts. Do you like the new Drake project? Is this his redeeming, his comeback? Do you think it's a one-off that we're not going to really talk about? And what does his success say about the state of hip-hop right now, the state of commercial hip-hop? And does it make you optimistic for the future? Or do you think that, things are not going well, we got to destroy and rebuild, and you're really not looking forward to what this year has to show?
I already know what time it is. I mean, couldn't have said it no better, I'm telling you. And that's coming from a woman. Women are out here breaking up with Drake. I see a lot of women on TikTok. I see a lot of women saying they don't listen to Drake no more. They saying that he ain't grow up. They saying that he's saying things that they just can't relate to no more. When they was in high school, they could relate to it, but not no more. They can't. So it is what it is. Thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all, man. You know what time it is, man. I'll see y'all. Peace. Bye.